All right, everybody. I am live with Rory, Synnott. Super stoked for this interview. Not going to lie, a little bit nervous, but this is going to be great. Been looking forward to this for a very, very long time. Rory, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
It's an honor, bro. I've heard you've been doing good things. I've heard you've been, doing very well for yourself in the streaming world and getting your following up. And, I hear that you have a specific target you wanted to hit. What was that, Tyson?
Yeah, so Tristan Tate told me once I reach 100,000 followers on Rumble, he will come on my podcast. Sneeko has told me that that's not going to happen for years to come. Sunny Fast told me that won't happen for years to come. So I'm on a mission right now to prove Sneeko and Sunny wrong and get Tristan Tate on my podcast. Now, yes, that's a very big target. 100K, especially on Rumble, is a very long ways to go. But I think these people don't know who they're messing with. I don't think Sneeko knows who he's betting on when he says Tyson Hockley won't reach 100K. I don't think Sneeko knows who Tyson Hockley is.
I like that, bro. It's good. It's good. That's a good attitude to have because it means that you're not going to back down to these negative vibes. It's good, bro.
Exactly.
And Rumble's a very hard platform. How many followers have you got now on Rumble?
I have 1.5K, 1.53K now on Rumble, so definitely growing a lot faster than before, but still kind of a slow grind.
That's fine, bro. That's fine. I think I'm only on 12.5 myself or something. So guys, if you follow my Rumble, click follow on Tyson's Rumble today, please. I'd really appreciate that because I want to see this kid go far. So, Tyson, what is today's stream about? What is it you want to talk about? What is the theme? Talk to me.
Right. So first I want to get you to give like your introduction and your story because of course you are the guest on today's show. And then I have a whole plethora of questions that I want to run through after that.
Okay.
Wait, everybody in the chat saying we're frozen. One sec. Guys, are we okay? Saying, bro, you're frozen. What's that all about? Guys, let me know right now in the chat if you guys can see. This is not the time to be having issues. Guys, let me know right now if we're good. Tyson is frozen. What are you guys talking about? This is really not going to plan.
Are we frozen?
We shouldn't be. Guys, in Rumble, Tyson is frozen. Lag question mark. Are you guys serious?
Hold on.
Somebody just called me an industry plant.
Yeah, don't worry about that. My chat says it's playing just fine. So
okay. I'm frozen on YouTube. Okay, thank you guys. My dad says good on my end. Okay. Thank you guys.
Good.
All right.
Cool. So you want to know a bit about me. You want to know a bit about my background. You want to know, a bit about myself first. So my name's Rory, as you know. My name's Rory Synnott. I'm from Luton, the hometown of Andrew and Tristan. I grew up in a working class family there. I'm from an Irish background. Both my parents, come from Irish families. Luton was a known place for immigration with the Irish in the 60s because they came over from Ireland to work in England, and a lot of them settled in Luton because of the airport there. So there's a big Irish community in Luton. That's where my family are based. And yeah, I grew up in Luton. I went to a Catholic school. I have a Roman Catholic background, obviously Irish again. So that's quite common, being Irish and Catholic. They go hand in hand, especially in the Republic of Ireland anyway. So yeah, that was my upbringing. I didn't have Luton's a rough place, but I mean, the communities that we lived in were quite friendly. We all knew each other. It wasn't a hostile place growing up, but it deteriorated as, I got older and started to delve into the underworld, so as they call it. So I met Andrew and Tristan. I was a keen boxer from the age of about 11. And I used to box at an amateur club called the Academy. I used to train in a club at Farley Hill, an estate in Luton. I used to enjoy boxing with my friends, and with that's how I obviously met Andrew Tate, because he's from the same town with Tristan, and we had a little beef online, me and Andrew, and
really?
that's how we become friends, bro. I don't know if you know the story.
No, what was the beef about? Fill me in.
So it was actually about a girl. So what happened was, it wasn't really about her. So she had told me some lies that Andrew had called her a slut and tried it with her, and I was with her, and so she's come to me trying to cause trouble, saying this dude's harassing me, and anyway, me and Andrew spoke online, and then we bumped into each other in the club, and we both thought we were gonna have a fight because that's what Luton was like, bro. It was, and but back then it wasn't really knives and such. It was more just fists back then. When we were growing up at 17, 18, it was still not that bad. But yeah, so me and Andrew bumped into each other, and I asked him the question. I said, what's the story here? Like, you tried it with her, you called her this, and he said no. He said, Rory, that's an absolute lie. If anything, she tried it with me. I could show you messages to confirm that it's not me that's the problem here. And yeah, with that, he showed me the proof, and I turned around and said, fair enough, maybe she is a slut. And I got rid of her, and I stayed at the bar with Andrew and Tristan.
Wow.
Well, no, sorry, I was just with Andrew that time. I met Tristan the night afterwards, because what happened then was Andrew said, let's go to the gym and let's throw it down. So I said, cool, let's go and throw it down at the gym. So we actually went to quite a nice family orientated gym called David Lloyd's. It wasn't a fight gym. And we ended up in one of the studios there. We had a fight. Andrew kicked the shit out of me. And yeah, I mean, I had to get up like 2 or 3 times. But, after the third time of getting up, I had that respect where, Andrew was like, do you know what? This guy could take a punch and he's still coming back for more, and that's how that's how I kind of got that initial respect. And it wasn't in bad blood. It was just like, let's just see how this goes sort of thing. Yeah. And he was like, do you know what? You're kind of cool. Let's go and meet my brother. So then I went and met Tristan at their apartment. And yeah, that's all she wrote, really. We became friends from there.
Wow, that's a crazy story. That's kind of cool to hear as well, that you guys like sparred each other as well. Have you got a chance to spar Tristan as well? Like, I feel like that'd be kind of intimidating.
Many years I sparred Tristan, and Tristan's a fucker, He is a completely different style to Andrew when they fight. And what happened with Tristan once was he broke my face. That's an interesting story. Yeah, so well, we were sparring, and I'm from like a boxing background. Tristan's a kickboxing background. And what happened was, Tyson, Tristan has thrown a kick at me, and I didn't realize that when a kick's thrown, you can lean forward to avoid getting hit with a kick. Mm-hmm. My instinct told me to lean back.
Right.
As I leant back, his foot struck my face. It was the side of his foot. It was a complete accident. And it broke my nose, my eye socket, and my cheekbone with that one kick. Yeah, it was
your eye socket.
Yeah, I'll be honest. No, but I stood there. I didn't realize how hard he'd got me, because I stood there, and I felt my face break, but I stood there like, I'm not going down. Let's go. And Tristan said, Rory, go down. You're hurt.
Wow.
And I said, no, I'm all right. And he said, no, go down. You're hurt. And as I went down, I realized the blood's gonna start pumping out my nose at this point. So, Tristan's like, sorry, bro. I was like, no, it's fine. Like, whatever. And Amir, Amir, the coach, Amir Sabasic, the most dangerous man in the world, but the most loving man in the world. He turns around, and the first thing he could think to say was, get your Irish blood off my ring. I said, oh God. Because he just had the ring recanvassed, I think, that day. And then I'm going to bleed all over it. He wasn't having it, bro. So I got dragged out of there. And yeah, it wasn't nice. But Tristan's a completely different fighter to Andrew. He's more of a power horse, whereas Andrew's more technical and, like a cobra, as his name says. So yeah, two different fighters completely, bro. Yeah.
Well, that's cool that you could earn the respect like that, though. Like, I'm sure that after that, like, he probably got you a drink or something, and that's kind of how the friendship formed, because he probably saw, like, you got your entire face broken. You're still like, yeah, bring it on. Like, I'm one tough son of a gun,
I'll be honest, bro. I was, I like to drink anyway. We used to drink down the local pubs. Back then, there were local Irish pubs that you could go to and drink every weekend, and it's where everyone would go and socialize. And so we'd all meet up at the Irish bars, and it was a good vibe every week. There was always a fight here and there, that's just Irish bars in general in England at the time, I guess. And like, we used to just go out most weeks, if I'm honest. But me and Tristan were the animals on the drink, bro. Andrew wasn't really. Don't get me wrong. There were times when we were younger, Andrew used to get trashed with us, man. Like, it's like everyone does growing up. But yeah, I was a lot more undisciplined than them boys.
Yeah.
I delved into worlds I shouldn't have, which was completely not encouraged by Andrew and Tristan, which is great, because the people who I thought were my friends weren't really my friends, bro. And it took me a long time to learn that. I was quite naive. I think I was a young kid. I was 17, 18. And when you're 17, 18, you haven't had the life lessons yet. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you have to have these life lessons to understand what's good and what's bad, and what's the right thing and what's the wrong thing. And I knew right from wrong, but at the time I was in a town and an environment where I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
You know? So
maybe talk about that a little, because I think there's a lot of like younger kids maybe watching this right now who are maybe they also have like bad influences. Like, what's a good way that you could tell like maybe somebody's like a fake friend, or maybe somebody's like leading you down a bad path?
Look, I mean, you can almost certainly tell if someone's a good or bad friend by by establishing what you're doing and deciding, is that good or is that bad for me? And are the people that I'm with doing that, or are they not doing that? Mm-hmm. Now, the only way to become the best version of yourself, if you are in that situation, is to cut yourself off from them people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have no hope, mate. You have absolutely no hope unless you cut yourself. And it's a very lonely road. Mm-hmm. I, on the other hand, was very lucky because I had the bad guys on one side, and then I had Andrew and Tristan on the other side who were pulling me into the gym. You know, so they weren't involved in any badness. That is what I will say. They were always encouraging me to, you know, to fight in the gym, whereas I preferred to fight in the pub after a few beers. And they were always encouraging me to stay away from crime and stay away from idiots that commit crime. Mm-hmm. Like, because they knew that the price wasn't worth, you know, doing these crimes wasn't worth what people were being paid. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they had a very good insight to things from a young age. And that's what I respected about them. We had very similar views, but we were quite different growing up.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But we had a lot in common also with the boxing and everything else. So it was great. So
yeah. What did you think about, like, obviously they blew up crazy on social media. Were you like involved in like that plan? Like, did Andrew one day just come in and say like, okay, Rory, everybody war room, I'm now going to take over the internet? And like, what was that kind of like plan like when he was like, kind of like, I'm going to get my content everywhere, take over TikTok, all that?
That's a good question, Tyson, because I lived there just before he started to really blow up.
Yeah.
So I was living there, you know, I was backwards and forwards for about 4 years seeing the boys. I was living with them on and off, you know, I was going back to England, getting new jobs and moving around, still doing my thing. And when I got back there, one day Andrew came in out of nowhere and he's like, you know, we need to meet some men that are like us, that want to make money, that want to, you know, like we need like a group of people who have the same goals and the same people that can help each other get rich. And I said, well, how are you going to do that? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he said something like the war room. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, and then I remember the war room just being an idea before it even came into play. Yeah. And then I went away from there, Tyson. I went back home then. And then before I knew it, it was only a couple months later that I started to see this war room come to life, you know? And then with the war room came courses inside the war room and courses on Twitter. And then it became Hustlers University. And it's just developed into the real world from there, really. It's just gone up and up and up. And his blow up on Twitter, it's strange because I did and I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I always knew from a young age that Andrew and Tristan one of them was going to be famous, bro. Mm-hmm. I always knew one of them was going to be famous, but I didn't know to what extent.
Yeah.
You know, like I was quite a character myself. A lot of people used to say to me that, oh, you know, one day you're going to be something famous because you're crazy. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm going, you've never met these boys. I'm telling you that one of these is going to blow up. Mm-hmm. And obviously growing up, Tristan and Andrew went on some reality TV shows as well. So they already kind of had their foot in the door with the kickboxing titles, with the reality TV shows, with their energy. Like their energy alone was huge. Mm-hmm. So I always knew that one of them was going to blow up.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who, you know, and I didn't know to what extent. And then when it happened with, you know, these kids posting all these videos online of Andrew, because obviously they tried to cancel him. Mm-hmm. And it didn't go very well because he had 100,000 kids posting videos of him all over the place. And, you know, it got to a point where TikTok banned Andrew completely and started to, you know, implement AI into tracking where his face was to ban these accounts.
Yeah. So weird. I had one clip with him in there for like a second talking about Rich Cooper, and they banned it in like 20 seconds.
I'm completely banned. I'm completely banned from there now, bro.
Seriously?
I'm not allowed on TikTok because I've posted too many times. Like, and it's strange because it's only videos of me and Andrew, like driving through the Alps and driving and, you know, laughing, like singing Jamaican stuff. And, you know, me and Tristan drinking pints of Guinness and singing Irish songs outside the pub. Yeah, so I think I got so many strikes, and they were like, right, get this guy gone. He ain't listening at all. And obviously, I think I was probably being watched anyway, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Being one of their friends. Why do you think they're so quick to try and cancel the Tates? I think it's because of the influence that they've had on the youth. They spoke to kids like me, and you even see, like, you can't even talk about Andrew Tate in schools. Like, you get banned. Like, Andrew Tate is banned in the school system. That's for a reason. You could talk about LGBTQ, so many other things, but you can't bring up Andrew Tate or you get in trouble in school.
I mean, look, you're allowed to speak about Hitler in school, mate. You know, you're not allowed to speak about Andrew Tate. Does that not tell you all you need to know? The reason for that is that the winners write the history books, and they've painted the image they want of Hitler around the world, and that they want that to spread. So you're allowed to speak about Hitler. You're not allowed to speak about Andrew Tate, because what Andrew Tate is doing is he's built an influence of young men that he wants to be strong. Now, when you have strong men, what comes with strong men is revolutions. Now, if you can take the masculinity away from the men and have control over the men and implement LGBTQ and have transsexuals going into schools to try and influence them to cut their genitals off, all of a sudden you have no strong men left. So it's important to get rid of Andrew online so they can keep control of the younger generations and tell them that it's not good to be a masculine man, and anything masculine is toxic. You know, and that's dangerous, bro, because you end up with societies with no masculine men left, and no one's reproducing. Like, you know, the decline, which is again what they want, a decline in population, is what I believe. So yeah, I believe that they tried to shut Andrew down. They don't like the narrative Andrew's pushing compared to what they are. It's a complete conflict of interest, and he became dangerous for them. And when I say them, I'm talking about the elites who clearly, you know, run social media on the left side of things. So the only reason he has a platform is because of Elon, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, like, they try to arrest him and throw him in jail too. What was that like? Because I know you're in the house when the police busted down the doors. What was the atmosphere like when you found out that the police were there the first time to get Andrew Tate? Like, what was that, the energy?
Tyson, let me explain something to you. So there's two parts to the house, right? So you've got the main house, and you have the house next door that they bought alongside the other house to make it bigger. Now, on the main house, they've got these doors, and these doors are bomb-proof, bro. You're not getting through them. I don't know how much he paid. I don't know what doors they are, but you're not getting through them. But he hadn't had them put on the new house because he got them at a different time.
Yeah.
So I'm in the new house. So my house is very accessible, but it's still part of the same house. You just can't get in without a code to get into the main house. So DCOT have raided the house, and the SWAT team have come up to my bedroom. I'm fast asleep, and I'm in bed, and then I could hear like this noise of a man shouting at me in Romanian, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the f? What is that? You know? And I've opened my eyes, and I've seen some 6'7" guy in a balaclava pointing a machine gun at my face, and then his mate's behind him with another balaclava and another machine gun in my face. And then but that's the thing. I'm half asleep, mate. So I'm like, I didn't know who it was. So I'm like, what do you want? And, he's still speaking Romanian. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying to me, mate. But what he was saying was, put your hands in the air. Put your hands in the air or whatever it was. And I didn't understand. So my instinct naturally is to get out of bed. Right. So I've reached behind me to get my phone, and he thought I was reaching for a weapon.
Oh, no.
Well, what I didn't understand was I was quite lucky because they had a kill warrant that day. So, with a kill warrant, they have permission to kill people on site because they have security. Well, Andrew and Tristan have security on site with live ammunition.
Yeah.
So they have to have that warrant. Now, I didn't know this. I don't know none of this. I'm just there. So I've been woken up, and luckily, he's gone to like strike me when I've gone to get my phone. And I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden he could speak English, mate. All of a sudden he was, put your hands on your head. And I'm like, okay, I can understand this.
Yeah.
So I've put my hands on my head, and I'll be honest, mate, the actual SWAT teams, once they'd got me out of bed, they brought me downstairs and they were trying to get into the main house. They thought I could access the side door. I'm not saying if I could or if I couldn't. But what I will say is they were saying, where's Tate? And I was going, I don't know. What am I? Tate's carer? Like, what do you want? They said, when's the last time you see Tate? I said, I think it was was it yesterday? or was it? No, actually, I forgot. So I'm annoying them now.
Yeah.
They still can't get in this house, bro. And luckily there, I was getting a bit annoyed with them then, and I think Tristan could hear me on the other side of the door.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tristan's just opened the door and has gone, "Come in, guys." And I'm going, "Oh my god!" It's like, "Yeah, Rory, go and sit down." But I'll be honest, mate. Once they'd actually got into the house, a lot of the DCOT officers, you could tell that they didn't want to be there, bro.
Yeah.
You could tell that they knew they were there for the wrong reasons,
Mm-hmm.
And they were very polite. They were kind of embarrassed and sheepish to kind of be in the house, whilst the actual DCOT prosecutors were going around to see what they could loot.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous.
Mm.
What do you make of that whole case? I mean, obviously it's all a scam. Obviously they just took their cars. It's like, what does Andrew say? Punishment through the process. Like the process.
The process is the punishment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe that as well.
Yeah,
but I have a very different insight to the whole case, much more than what other people do.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is I've lived with them.
Mm-hmm.
I lived with them at the times like where they had webcam girls in the house, and I'd seen the environment and I knew the girls. And I'll be honest, mate, I used to go for coffee with the girls. They're free to go as they come and please. They had good quality lives. They were always dripping in designer clothes and jewelry. So it wasn't like the environment that the media are trying to play it out to be. And it's, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were arguments, but there was nothing ever aggressive or violent. And if anything was said in an aggressive way, it was satire. I'd say to my little brother, if you don't do that today, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm not really threatening to kill him, bro.
Yeah.
Like
Rory said he's going to kill his brother.
Exactly.
Lock him up.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's my take on it, because I actually knew the girls, and I was friends with some of the girls. Cool.
Yeah.
I've spoke to some of the girls, and even they say it's nonsense. So what else am I meant to think, bro? What else am I meant to think? And it was disgusting the way they did it as well. Like they obviously planned it very well. So, but I don't think that this hit came from Romania at all, mate. I think this hit came from America, if I'm honest.
Yeah, because they're speaking to the youth. They're inspiring me. If they're like a clown on the internet, like all these other streamers, saying to do like degenerate things, promoting degenerate behavior, I highly doubt that they'd be busting down his door for that. It's the fact that he has a positive message and he's waking up to you. That's the only reason.
Well, I mean, if the media were that interested in trafficking, mate, they would have gone after the Epstein list, but that's been swept under the carpet because it doesn't suit them to go and attack that. If they spent as much energy as they had on the Andrew Tate case, on the Epstein case, they probably would have had it all solved by now. But they're not doing that for a reason.
Yeah,
so
it's ridiculous how selective they are.
I don't think, and I don't think Andrew Tate's going to be the first guy to be targeted, mate. There's going to be so much more. There's going to be so much more. I'll be honest, I'm half expecting an attack on myself.
Yeah,
I had my banks. I've had my banks shut down in the UK. They shut down my banks in the UK just for having an affiliation with Andrew. And I had them accounts for 13, 14 years, no problems whatsoever, mate. So, what can you do? You can't, you can't really do much when they're shutting your bank accounts down. I went to pay for a meal. I was in Scotland, and my card got declined.
Wow,
so,
bro.
Yeah. So, and I was just, it's embarrassing. And I was like, oh, right. I said, there's plenty of money on this card. I opened the banking app and it said, you don't have an account with us. But they still stole the money. They stole, I think, into the 20,000s. And
they just took your money?
Never seen it since. Never seen it again. And I rang Andrew and I said, bro, like, what's going on? Like, my money's gone. And he said, welcome to my world.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Like, what can Andrew do? Nothing. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, but the banks, that's what they do, mate. They try and demonetize you first.
Yeah, that happened to the leader. I'm not sure if you know the Freedom Convoy, the truckers who try to get the vaccine mandates dropped in Ottawa. The leader who made that protest, his bank account's frozen too. So that is kind of the first step. They attack your bank account. It's just so unjust. Like, God willing, the Tates are free very, very soon. Praise God that's free.
Tyson, there's been some twists and turns in the last few weeks, and it all, it's going in Andrew's favor. So, God willing, it does come to the point where it, they say this is enough now. Like, I can't honestly see Romania letting them go without a charge because they're going to lose face.
Yeah, exactly. They'll look terrible.
So what
Raid
I
a
think
man's
they'll
house, he's innocent.
right. So what I think they'll do, Tyson, and this is my prediction. Right, my prediction is they will charge them and find them guilty of some crime. They'll get a huge fine. They'll sentence them to a jail sentence, which won't be jail because they've already served time on judicial arrest and house arrest and all the other crap that they've had to go through.
Yeah.
So, you know, everyone will be a winner. Romania don't lose face. The boys won't go to jail. I think that's the only solution I can see the Romanian government doing, because otherwise they look stupid.
Yeah. Well, they look stupid regardless, but I know what you're saying for sure. Breaking into their house and they're just to let them go. Then that would really be kind of the momentum to say maybe
for 3 years, bro. For 3
Yeah.
years, you know.
Yeah. What do you think about the propaganda machine? Because I see all these accounts on Twitter saying, "Oh, I know the facts about the Tate case. You've been groomed, Tyson." So many people say I've been groomed by Tate. What do you think about all this propaganda that's just like anti-Tate, like BBC with a hit piece? I feel like every single day it's another hit piece on the Tates.
I think, you know, you have to use your own brain to pick these things apart. And you can tell by the bitterness in some of these accounts that it's just bullshit crap from the start.
Because Tate's a winner and they're a loser and they feel bad about that. That makes them insecure.
What you also have to remember is the stronger the allegations they're posting and all these breaking posts that they do is their livelihood. They have to exaggerate everything they can because they only make money off Andrew Tate's name on views on Twitter, mate.
Yeah.
So they have to get the engagement. So therefore, they're willing to say anything. They don't even care if it's true or not.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's that. I actually, when Andrew and Tristan first got arrested, I wasn't there. On the first ever raid, I wasn't there.
Okay,
I was there for the most recent raid.
Yeah.
So on the first ever raid, when I found out they got arrested, I was in the pub. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
I think it was close to New Year's Eve, wasn't it? So
yeah.
I was in the pubs and someone's tapped my shoulder and said, "Rory, you need to, you know, open your phone. Andrew and Tristan have been nicked." I said, "Nah, you're joking me. Like, that's bull crap." So I've opened my phone and there you go, and in black and white. So I go, "Look, boys, I've got to go home." I've said, you know, it's hit the fan. I've got to go home. So I went home and, you know, I'm banging my head off the wall. What can I do? What can I do? There's nothing I can do. Like, they're in Romania. They're in jail. What can I do? Mm-hmm. And I thought, I was never big on social media, Tyson. I wasn't interested in it. I wasn't, you know, it wasn't who I was. I was working on building sites, mate. I was into construction and, you know, wheeling and dealing. That's just who I was, mate. I was just one of the boys about the town. Just, there's a lot of boys in town like that, you know? Anyway, I've gone home and I thought, I've got to do something. So I opened a Twitter account. Now, I'd never posted anything on Twitter in my life, mate. And I posted a tweet that said, and you can search this, anyone who's watching. I said, known these boys 17 years. They've never raped or trafficked anyone. And that post blew up, man. Like, really blew up. I think I had like 27,000 followers in a night or something.
Damn.
And like, a lot of people are saying we've never seen it come up on Twitter that fast. And I'm like, I don't know how it all works. So it's not impressive to me because I don't know how this all works.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, I had James English direct message me saying podcast this month. And I knew who he was. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was a fake account. I said, that's not James English. He's not messaging me. And it was James English. So he's rang my phone. And I'll be honest, I thought, I've got to do this interview. I've got to shed some positive light on this. I've got to tell everyone what I know. What sort of friend am I to sit here being quiet while they're rotting in a Romanian jail cell for something they haven't done? I can't sit here. What sort of, you know, I'd never forgive myself. I'd never forgive myself because I knew if the shoe was on the other foot, Tristan would be there. Andrew would be there for me too. Yeah. So what am I going to do? Sit inside doing nothing anyway. So I've done the James English interview, which I'll be honest, I didn't know James English. So I thought, I didn't trust anyone, mate. So I thought, is this a hit piece? Is it not?
Yeah.
You know, like you don't know what you're going into.
Yeah.
So with that, James has said to me, Rory, this isn't a hit piece, like, because obviously I asked him. I said, "Is this a hit piece? Because I don't want to fall out. I don't want to fall out with you, mate."
Yeah.
He said, "Don't be so stupid, Rory." I said, "All right, fine, mate." I've been in police interrogation rooms before, bro. I am telling you, the first ever podcast I did was on James English's national platform that everyone watches. And yeah, I've never felt so intimidated in my life,
Yeah.
but with that interview, it felt like 10 minutes, but it was like 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
And afterwards, he said, look, you've done really well. You should start your own podcast, Rory. You're actually very good. And I said, okay, cool. So yeah, with that, I waited a few months and the boys come out of jail. And yeah, then there's actually a really good story I'm going to tell you now.
Yeah.
We're going to call it the train story.
Okay.
You want to hear it? Okay,
Yeah.
So Andrew and Tristan got out of jail. I, in the meantime, have been making sure their mum's okay, making sure their mum's house is okay, making sure, their kids are okay. No one's doing anything towards their kids and things like that, like I'm speaking to people all about the town. And they've got out of jail. And Andrew, you remember the video where he's walking up and down and he's smoking the cigar?
Yeah.
You know the
video,
one
right?
where he looks like an absolute beast.
Yeah.
Someone's rang me and they've said, you need to get over there, mate. He's losing it. And I said, I don't think he's losing it. I know Andrew, he's too strong. I said, I don't think he's losing it. Someone said, well, either way, it's not fair on Tristan to be sitting with that animal all day. Like, Tristan's been in jail too. You need to go over there. And so I said, all right, cool. So I went and got my passport and I've opened it and it's 3 months out of date. And I'm like, no way. Like, what am I going to do? So it takes weeks for a passport to come. So I said, what am I going to do? So I rang my dad and he said, well, you're never going to get on an airplane, mate, because they'll clock it at the airport. I said, all right. He said, your best bet's to head down to the Channel and trying to get the train across to France. Wow. I said, okay. So I've gone down to the Channel and I'm at the border with the French police and I give them my passport and they've just stamped it and give it back to me and I've gone straight across. I thought, okay, that was easy. Then I've got into the Schengen zone and I had to stay in Paris and I had to stay in, all the hotels are full. I think it was like a public holiday. I couldn't get a hotel room anywhere. I ended up in some hostel place. And in this hostel was some big gay dude wearing a pink nightdress. So I couldn't even sleep, mate. Yeah. So I had to leave the next day at like 4 a.m. and get the train. And then I got all the way into Hungary for Andrew to turn around and say, you can't come here because the lawyers have said no one's allowed in the house. So I'd done like a 56-hour train journey to go back to England. And I'd already quit my job to go there. Because my boss said, if you don't come in Monday, you haven't got a job. I said, stick it. So, I wasn't happy, but what can you do, eh?
Yeah. So what did you do instead of like going to their house if you couldn't?
I mean, I went home and I spoke to Andrew on the phone and I told him, how things are being looked at. And, Andrew said, Rory, I don't know what's what. I've just got out of jail. Like, what am I meant to think? I don't know. I haven't even seen outside the front door yet. Yeah. I said, all right. I said, yeah, but I know as long as everything's cool, it's cool. And Andrew said, Rory, everything's fine. We're cool. I said, all right, cool. So then as soon as I was allowed to go, I went and seen the boys.
Yeah. This is so crazy to hear this as somebody who's like watching that from an outsider to actually hear like the inside scoop on like everything that happened. Because of course, like I've been a big Tate fan ever since he's come up. He spoke to me. He's inspired me. So just the fact that like even doing this podcast is just like, wow, like this is insane to think. And it's insane to think that you're also that close to the boys as well.
Tyson, you deserve it, mate. You work hard, You stream all the time. You're young, mate. Yeah. Most boys at your age don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. They don't know whether they want to ride a woman or a bike at your age. And, you've got your head screwed on. So it's nice to see someone who's got their head screwed on. You're literally doing what you want to do, mate. You're, pursuing your dreams, mate. And it's good to see, which is why I'm here. I'm here because, I respect it, mate. I respect it. And I respect you as a kid as well. So, well done to you. You should give yourself a pat on the back. You deserve it.
Thank you very much. And that's kind of my message to everybody is like, you need to chase your dreams. You get one life, take those risks, do that big thing that you want to do, speak the truth on the internet, and, leave it all on the table. Wear your heart on your sleeve. I think that's the best advice I've ever heard.
100%, bro. Like and in life, I think there's two important parts of business to remember is one, that you don't F people over. And two is you don't worry about what the next person makes. You worry about what you make. You worry about what you're doing and your own growth, you know? So it's all needs to be put into perspective, you know? But mate, you're going the right way. You're going the right way and it's lovely to see. And if you quit, I'm going to come looking for you.
Yeah, no,
I can't see that happening, bro.
I can't either. But if I do ever fall off or quit, please do come looking for me because I will need that if that ever
Well,
happens.
I mean, I'm due a trip to Canada, Tyson.
Hey, dude, that would be awesome. Yeah, no, you got to come here. I mean, of course, we have Justin Trudeau as a leader that kind of puts a stain on the country, but it is a beautiful country beside him.
Look, I've got a friend there who I need to visit. I don't know where he is. He's in what's the place? The place is called, I don't know. Is it near Alberta? Is it near Alberta or something like that?
Calgary, maybe.
That's it. Near there. Yeah. So yeah, I've got to go see him at some point. So I'm sure I could pass through.
Yeah.
I don't know when that will be because we've been planning this for the last year, but it's just been heck. You've seen me, bro. I've been flying around more than anyone I know.
Yeah.
So
no, you got a busy life. I heard word on the street is that Dylan beat you 2 times in a row in chicken roulette. Is this true? 2 times in a row.
Bro, where have you got this from? Do you know what chicken? Do you know what chicken roulette is? So I'm in Dubai, and I'm not going to sit there and handpick everyone's orders. So we'll just order a load of the same burgers. You know, if you want one, have one. If you don't. And we're all eating these burgers. Anyway, we didn't realize the place we got it from was obviously dodgy. And the next day, I'm sick, bro. I'm dying. So we decided, but not everyone else was fine. So it must have been that one burger.
Of course.
So we decided that we weren't going to be, we decided bored one night. We were going to be stupid and play this game called Chicken Roulette. And it involved ordering the same amount of burgers and whoever got ill lost.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how, bro. I was the one who got ill again. Yeah, and but it was funny. I think the third time someone else lost, and I thought it wasn't just me. You know, it wasn't just me like reacting badly to it. I genuinely did lose roulette. Yeah.
No, that's so funny. Yeah. That's funny. Chicken roulette. That's actually hilarious.
Don't play it. It's agony. Don't play it, bro. Don't ever play it. But it wasn't nice. Yeah. Play silly games, you get silly prizes, right?
Exactly, bro. That's a life lesson right there.
Yeah. So, as a 16-year-old, what is it like for you starting a podcast? Because
it's great. It's great. A lot of people have wanted to come on. I've been gaining a lot of traction, a lot of momentum. I just did that one podcast with the guy that we were talking about. I don't want to platform him if you're on or anything like that. But
I don't care. I don't care, bro. Like you can. Are you on about people who don't necessarily get along with Andrew and Tristan and stuff like that?
Yeah. Like I had Zerk on.
You're gonna meet people from all different walks of life as a YouTuber who interviews people, and no, you can't look. I don't know these people. I don't know these people. I don't have an opinion on them, but I'm always gonna back my friends, bro.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know these people to badmouth them as such, but just. Yeah, keep me at bay, bro. Like I don't want to smoke with no one on there. I haven't got time for that.
Exactly.
And I'm just not the type to be back and forward all day, like sending videos to each other. It's not who I am, mate. Like I'll say my piece, and if you don't like it, we don't have to be friends.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. Like you got to be loyal to your day one homie. So of course,
100%, mate. 100%. Like even on a night out, even if your boy's in the wrong, you still got to back him until you get home.
Yeah, even if he's in the wrong, you still gotta go to bat for him. Yeah,
you still gotta back your boy, and then when you get home, you could tell him he's being a dickhead or whatever you want to say. So that's just your moral code as you brought up. I was brought up that way. I've got a dad who would have gone mental if I'd ever had a fight with my friends and not get involved.
Yeah.
I've always been taught to stick up for myself as well. I think it's very important as a young man that you stick up for yourself because we live in a world now where you'll be walked over if you don't. You have to stick up for yourself. And when I say that, I don't mean you have to go around like with a chip on your shoulder. I'm saying that you have to say exactly how you feel to people. And if they don't like it, that's their problem. And if anyone ever puts a hand on you, you make sure that you put a hand on them back. You don't let no one put a hand on it. And that was my dad's rules, And if I'd have took a punch as a kid, your age, which I did. I had a few fights at your age growing up. But I moved to a new area of town once and I got jumped by some boys. And, my dad made me go around looking for them in the car with him and I had to fight them all.
Oh
You
my
know,
gosh.
yeah, but that's
Wow,
that's how it
that's
was.
intense.
That's how it
Yeah.
was, mate. And you know, my dad said, if you don't hit them back, I'm going to hit you. Like that's and
Whoa.
that was yeah. That's how strict he was on sticking up for yourself. But I
Mhm.
believe that it's helped me in life because now
100%, bro.
yeah, you can't be pushed around by no one, mate. And it's the world we
No.
live in now, where you know everyone's brave on laptops and keyboards and everything else. But you know, you have to be ready, bro, because you just never know in the street where some lunatic's going to come out and attack.
I think that's a great word of advice. I think everybody needs like a father figure that's going to say that, or else you're just going to get pushed around in life and you're not going to have any self-respect. Like you need a father that instills self-respect. So that's kind of beautiful in a sense. Like some people will look at that and be like, "Oh, that's child abuse," but like that's actually great parenting right there. If you
It's
ask
not.
me,
I think
you
it's
know?
more child abuse if you teach your child that it's acceptable to be hit and not hit back.
Yeah, 1,000%.
I
I
think
agree.
that's child abuse, bro.
Yeah,
Like you know,
that's mental abuse.
I'm the
You
same way
know.
of my own son, mate. So
Uh-huh.
you know, I got called into the school because my son punched someone,
They
and
probably gave him a
you know,
fist bump in the office.
well, no, what happened was I've gone into the office. You know, my son's there, and I'm angry with my son, mate, because I've been called into the school.
Mhm.
I said, right, what happened? And he said, well, I got punched and thrown on the floor, Dad, and I got up and I punched the kid back. I said, that's all that's happened. He said, yeah. I said, you're not in trouble then. It's fine. So I've gone into the head teacher and told her what happened. I said, so what's happening to this child who punched him before? And she said, well, that's not the policy in our school. We don't hit back. And I said, well, sorry, but that's my policy. So, you know, we're going to have to come to some
Yeah.
sort of disagreement. We're going to have to agree to disagree here. I said, because he will be continuing to hit back anyone who hits him in the face. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So, you know,
It's
and
like
it's defense, mate. You defend yourself at all times.
It's funny that they would go harder on the person defending themselves than the person that's actually starting the fight. I feel like schools do this a lot too. Like I feel like schools don't really know what side to pick, and they're also like all like kind of soft. You know, they really are.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
oh dear. Let's see the chat. The chat's
I know.
quite busy. Let's have a see.
Tyson, ask him. No, that's crazy.
No. Let's ask me. Ask me.
Ask him if he's friends with Freemasons. Are you friends, Rory, with any
Bro,
Freemasons? Tell
I'll
the
be
truth.
honest, right? The conspiracies that I've heard in the last 2 years are wild, bro. I've had someone come up to me in our hometown and they've said to me, yeah, don't worry, mate. I know what you're doing. And I've said, what am I doing? And they've said, well, we know that you're paid opposition. And I'm
Paid
going,
opposition.
I said, what? Where have you got this from? Like, where's my money? Like,
Yeah.
where's this paid opposition money? Like, you know, like it's all honestly the theories that you hear is crazy.
Yeah.
So
No,
yeah, I
some
don't.
people. There's a lot of
I,
people on the internet too that don't really that have so much time on their hands, so then they like make up so many things. Like I said, somebody earlier is like Tyson Hockley's an industry plant. It's like, bro, some people say the craziest things. People have the craziest beliefs, especially on the internet.
I've heard the term industry plant. What tell me, like break that down for me. What do they mean by industry plant when they tell
I
you
don't even
you're an
fully
industry
know.
plant?
I think it's like they just like I got picked to be like a 16-year-old podcast. Like I've been given a script for doing my show, and then like I haven't earned the success on my own. Other people have like given it to me because I'm like part of this system. I think that's what they mean by industry plant, but I don't know.
What you think people believe that you've been like employed by Andrew or something?
I don't know. That's what somebody in the chat was saying, that I'm an industry plant. I don't know if employed by Andrew.
Ah, mate, I've been
But
accused of being everything. You have to take all that with a pinch of salt because people are always going to talk crap. It don't matter
yeah,
what you do, mate. You could literally cure like the world of disease, and someone would have something bad to say about it. So you
yeah,
know you can't listen to any of that stuff.
yeah.
And that's another thing I'd say to people: never listen to the noise because 99% of threats are a load of noise, mate. Like I have never ever been threatened and someone back it up. You know,
Especially
if
physically.
bro, any physical fights I've had have come out of nowhere. It's never been due to premeditation. And if it has been premeditated, it's always been some lame ass move. Like, you know, it's never been like real. Do you know what I mean? These people
Yeah.
haven't got the balls that they say they have, mate. And I wouldn't listen to any of it. So, and they soon become the victim if you go say, I'm going to come and see you. They soon become the victim then. So it's very important to take all that stuff with a pinch of salt and just keep moving forward, mate. Like
Yeah.
you can't listen to any of that crap. And I'll say
Yeah.
that to you as a young man because you get a lot of young men who will be threatened by someone and they'll start acting erratic. No,
Yeah.
there's no
Gotta
need.
be stoic.
Yeah, there's no need. Just sit back and, you know, enjoy that you're being spoke about. You're doing something right. Ignore them. You know,
Exactly.
It's good stuff.
I've had crazy people on Twitter too, and that's kind of been a problem with me, is like going after them, like defending Andrew and stuff. Like, no, Andrew's innocent. But it's like, Andrew's innocent. That's the truth. I don't need to go at them on Twitter. I know the truth. God knows the truth. The world knows the truth except for them. So I don't need to be spending my time defending Tate, because the truth always prevails in the end. And that's kind of like a mistake. Like, I was going, I'm not sure if you saw, but I was pretty active on Twitter, back and forth with these hate accounts. But it's like, I'm giving them too much attention. You know, they're like in their mom's basement. They don't deserve that attention.
Well, this is again, Tyson. I was very new to social media, and I had all these people coming at me with threats and abuse and everything else that they wanted to come at me with, and I wasn't used to it. And I think I reacted badly at first, because I thought, who are these people? Like, you know, I was raging with these people, and then now it's just like, all right. Like, that's bull crap. I'm not going to listen to that. Like, you know, it's important to take all of this stuff with a pinch of salt. And I say that if I can teach you young boys to do that, you'll have a much easier life to not react to these people. So
yeah, even this comment right here, Andrew Tate takes advantage of young men with no role models. I call that evil.
I mean,
like,
okay,
how?
no, let's break that down. Andrew takes advantage of young men with no role models. So what's taking advantage of young men? Is that telling them that they can earn money online, putting them, you know, giving them a course where they can be enrolled in several different campuses to make money online and become better versions of themselves. He encourages training. He encourages being stoic. He encourages being masculine. That's not taking advantage, bro. Because, you know, all right, cool. If these young men have got no role models, they've chose Andrew. Andrew didn't choose them. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have to listen to Andrew. They listened to Andrew because they knew that he was onto something good. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you can't listen to these people. And the fact that it's called the GOAT's a bit personal to me as well, right?
Yeah, I know. How, like, did you have to go to therapy for the loss of your goat? Like, how'd you get over that? Like, I don't remember seeing that. My heart broke for you, brother.
It's been a hard road, Tyson. You know, me and Shaggy we were doing bits. We were starting to become friends. Yeah, and that murderous trafficker Tristan went and got him. Yeah. So brutal. But I mean, he tasted delicious with a bit of salt and a bit of right seasoning. So, I mean, I'm sure he would have been proud that he got used to, you know, he got used for the greater good to ensure that the whole house got their protein. Yeah,
why would Tristan do that? That just seems like kind of crazy. Like, I told my mom that story, and she's like, "What? He did what? Like, why? Like, why would he do that? That makes no sense. That's just mean."
Because me and Tristan have been brought up in this world where we like to get each other with the most extreme stuff we can. You know, I don't know if you heard of the orange game where we used to throw oranges at each other's face. But that got so serious that Andrew banned the game, because I think Tristan nearly broke my jaw with an orange one day. And
broke your jaw with an orange?
Bro, we were in a hotel room, and it got to a point where we couldn't be around each other because we were paranoid and we were throwing oranges at each other. But the rules were you couldn't expect it. If you expected it, it wasn't, you weren't allowed to do it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? The rules were you had to get each other out of the blue. So we'd have like a business meeting, and I'd stand up at the table with an orange and launch it at him. And Andrew would get really annoyed because he'd be trying to have a serious... Well, Andrew was trying to have a serious conversation, and I'm standing up throwing oranges, and then me and Tristan are laughing for 20 minutes, you know? So...
That's funny.
Yeah, so the orange game got banned, but me and Tristan have always had that relationship where we just want to terrorize each other. So, yeah, I think that's where Shaggy came from.
That's so funny. Oh, my gosh. No, that's so funny. A little break out into an orange war mid-business meeting. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Funny stuff.
Yeah.
I see this one guy, the goat is still... Is this the dead goat? Is this Shaggy coming back to, like, avenge? Or, like, what is this?
I don't know, but I think, you know, I don't know. He's just talking crap now. Someone else said, Tate is this generation's closest thing to a prophet. Gen Z was near peak degeneracy before he put... Look, Gen Z is still near peak degeneracy.
Oh, yeah, that's bad, bro.
Yeah, like, unfortunately, the elites that control social media have made anyone who wants to be masculine, they shadow ban them. They demonetize them, so they stop posting. They try everything they can to stop any sort of masculinity creeping in. Mm-hmm. So it's hard. It's hard. It's not like, you know, it's not like you can decide what to put these days. And you can even go to jail for saying some of the things they don't like, bro.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it, right?
No, it is, bro. It's crazy. I still think that the Tates have like to some degree saved my generation, but at the same time, it's almost like now it's like it's no longer cool. It feels like to be a Tate fan, whereas it used to be. Now it's like now you're supporting traffickers. Like even people in my life have been like, "You're supporting a human trafficker." I'm like, "No, I'm not."
But you
Bro.
know what? You have to keep fighting the good fight, Tyson, because you know what's what. I know what's what. People around us know what's what, right?
Yeah.
Good will always win in the end. Look
Yeah.
how many lives he's affected in the sense of the millions of kids that he's turned into strong men who want to make money. You know, look at all the students in the real world making money. There's what 200,000 students who are in campuses. Like, there's even a fitness campus in there that you get for free. It's $50 a month, mate. People spend that on coffee. It's not like, you know, there's receipts in the real world to show that it's not a scam as these hater accounts would put. It's, you know, it's probably one of the best courses I've ever seen on the internet. And that's not me being biased. Like, you know, I've made money from the real world myself. You know, so I'm speaking from my own point of view. The real world's most definitely worth joining. And it's most definitely beneficial to someone who wants to make money online who doesn't know what they're doing. And I'd encourage anyone from your generation to, if they've got $50, go and join it today and go and put some work in and earn your $50 back and then start earning more money.
Yeah.
It's like a win-win.
Yeah. They even gave away a Lamborghini to a real world student. Like
I seen. Yeah.
That
guy's
Justin.
been, Justin's been coming at me on X because obviously me and Tristan again had that, you know, that back and forth about if your name gets pulled out, you're not winning the Lambo, Rory.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously, you know, Justin came on saying, "Stay away from my car," and you know, but do you know what? What a nice dude, bro. What a nice dude.
No.
He seems. His reaction was so genuine, you know. It was lovely to see. So I'm really happy that he won. I'm really happy that he won.
He's like a kid on Christmas,
bro. Wouldn't you be? You know, $400,000 car, like bro. I feel like a kid at Christmas too. So you know, but cars are a funny point for me because I'm never really in a place long enough to get a car. I can't see the point of buying a car and leaving it somewhere to rust for months. Like, that's just not who I am, which is nuts because then you get people saying, oh, you know, he rents cars and and it's like, well, yeah, because that suits my lifestyle. I'm never in a certain place at one time. You know, I've got one car at home that sits there and I want to sell it because I don't drive it enough. You know, so you know, you've got to do what suits you, mate.
Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't ever try to impress other people too. Like if you can't get a car because you're traveling the world doing big things, you know, you don't owe anybody to get a car. Live your life on your own terms. Same thing with like going to college too. Everyone's like, oh, you should go to college. It's like, well, you know, I don't really need to do that to do my podcast. And, you know, maybe that doesn't make you happy, but it is what it is at the end of the day.
What motivated you to call out It's Dean for a boxing match? I seen that. What was that all about?
I saw his beef with Andrew. That guy's just a soy boy. You know, he's just through and through a soy boy. Like, and I know that. I think he's older than me too. I think he's like 18 or 19. But like, he could get these hands anytime. You know.
I know.
My first ever fight. That'd be my first ever fight. But I don't care. I'm here for it.
Are you training?
No, but I've been working out crazy in the gym. I do have a punching bag in my backyard with a pair of gloves. So every now and then I do go out there, but. No, definitely in better physical shape than him, better mental shape than him. And, you know, if he's watching this, he can catch me anytime.
You know? Bro, I don't think that guy's going to fight. I don't think he could fight sleep. I'll be honest. It's not going to happen, mate. So I wouldn't worry too much. But, you know, I think it's important for most men to put their gloves on and have at least one fight in their life, mate. I really do. Even if it's just one.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's great that everyone should experience that feeling of there's no better place to get to know yourself than the ring, mate.
Yeah,
you know, it's the most lonely place in the world. You find out more about yourself in the ring than you will at any sort of party or pub or club or, you know.
Yeah, I agree so much.
I believe every young man should put on the gloves. Look, you might go in there and get your ass kicked and think I'm never fighting again, but at least you can say I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
You know, and you learn what it's like to take a punch too, mate, because you could take a punch at any moment or any given day. You don't know what's around the corner. So I think it's very important that young men learn what it's like to take a punch, you know, and what it's like to be in that one-on-one fighting environment and have a square go. But I also think it's very important where we're now in a culture where these kids, especially in the UK, are carrying knives. It's very important to know when it's not right to want to fight. You know, it's not, you're not being a pussy if you run from 5 guys with knives, bro. You know, where a lot of people, kids especially, have this ego where they're like, I ain't running from no one. Bro, if you see a big blade, you run.
Yeah.
You don't, and if there's more than one person as well, you don't stand there and act bad, mate, because you're going to get yourself hurt. You know, you want a fair fight. And if it's not a fair fight, make it fair.
Yeah.
You know, don't ever play the big man, because I've had friends get killed playing that game, mate.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's not pretty. So
No.
this whole knife culture in England's disgusting, and I blame the parents. I really do. I blame soft parents for that. So yeah.
My dad's always told me that, like, you never know what somebody has on you. You could be the best fighter in the world, like kickboxing world champion. If somebody has a blade, if somebody comes, or a gun or anything, you know, it's just over.
Well, yeah, and I mean, these kids think they're Peter Pan these days, mate. They're having sword fights in England, you know. But I can already tell just by speaking to you, Tyson, that you have good parents, and I hope that you're very good to them, and I hope you're very grateful for them too, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not a lot of people could say the same as you, mate.
That's
so
true.
You should be very grateful. You know, what is your relationship like with your parents?
No, it's really good, and they're very supportive of my channel too. I think my dad's watching. He was in the chat here earlier. I was telling him about this.
Oh, really?
He was like giving me some tips. He's like, and then at the end he had said, "Have fun," which I think is like the best thing. Because I was nervous for this. I'm not gonna lie. I was very nervous when you told me Tristan's gonna be watching. My heart was like racing, because of course that's somebody that really inspires me. So,
well, I don't think you're that far off getting an interview with Tristan, bro. I don't think you're that far off.
No.
Nah. I mean, listen, he knows you exist, you know?
Yeah. That's crazy to think.
Yeah, that's a lot, bro. So, you know, you've already got your foot in the door in that sense, that he knows you exist. He's give you a target. So, you know, why not? And I'll be honest, mate, my first stream I ever did was 2 pints with Rory. I'd never streamed in my life. And you're in an empty room that's silent, and you're speaking to an audience, and, you know, you're like a rabbit in the headlights. And I always learned, I like this saying, right? And I'm going to say this to anyone who wants to start a podcast or start a stream, because it helped me. And the saying is, don't be nervous, be at their service. You know, like you have an aura about you, you have an energy about you. It's a good energy, mate. And you should keep like, you know, projecting that onto other people. Don't be nervous, be at their service. And your dad's right, have fun. Yeah. That's all it's about. If it's not fun, what's the point, mate? You may as well be in a normal job.
Yeah, exactly. And even this podcast, like joking back and forth, you got me laughing, you know. It's just been some jokes, just like a light vibe. Like, you never want to take it like super duper serious, because that's when you stop having fun. But I see we have a donation here. Queenie, long time Tyson, much love and great to see you still going strong. Freedom and protect our children. Tyson's parents rock. Let's get it. Thank you so much for that, Queenie. I appreciate that.
There you go.
Thank
well
you
done.
for the 10.
Well done. Yeah, you deserve it, mate. You deserve it. You know, you're projecting a positive message onto kids your own age, and you're not backing down to the MSM's crap and lies. You know, you're awake enough to realize that everything doesn't meet the eye. Whereas a lot of these kids are just brainwashed by, you know, maybe their parents from another generation who believe the MSM word for word and have been told that they have to believe it. You know, a lot of these kids haven't had a choice but to do as their parents say and stop, you know, admiring Andrew. So, you know, and I pity them, because they probably still want to follow Andrew, but they have to do what their parents say.
Yeah, like I even know people that used to be fans of Andrew Tate, but now they're like switched up. They're like, yeah, I don't like him anymore. He's a human trafficker. And I'm like, wow, the propaganda has really gone that far, where you used to be like a diehard fan, and now you're like completely switched up. And that also shows that you have no loyalty in your character, and you're not able to actually.
Well, this is the thing, mate. They're the people that you call fair weather friends, you know, and. Yeah. What will happen is Andrew will get off all this crap. That's my prediction. And when it does happen, these people will come back round. Oh, you know, I never doubted him for a second. Never doubted him for a second. You see, that's just human nature, mate. I've seen it for years. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I've been attacked hard, though, for supporting Tate. Like, it's been crazy. Like, personal attacks, Twitter attacks, but, you know, still standing.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to my world, Tyson.
Yeah.
You know, that's the life I live. But you know what? I'm going to keep sticking up for my friends, because I know, like, in the end, you know, the truth will prevail. And that truth is that all isn't that meets the eye, especially when it comes to the mainstream and the likes of the BBC who want him gone.
Yeah, 100%. I see we're getting close to that hour mark. I want to ask you one more question that I'm not sure if you want to take off or stick around a bit more. We did say an hour before this, but
Let's
I
do
have
it.
one.
Let's talk. What you got for me?
Yeah, so I have one I really want to ask you. Okay, advice that you have for me and all young, ambitious people watching, because I have kind of like a younger audience on here too. It's kind of like mixed, diverse. Like, what advice would you give to me and then also all the other 16, 17-year-olds that are ambitious and want to go and get it?
Mm-hmm. Nice. Just keep working hard, bro. You have to keep working hard, mate. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter whether you're making sandwiches or you're a YouTuber. Whatever you do, have a passion for it and work hard. And if you don't have a passion for it, change what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's the only advice I can give to young people, and is to obviously, if you're in the wrong crowd, jump out of it. And it's going to be a lonely road, but you'll meet decent people on the right path. You know, and it took me a long time to hear that, to learn that myself. So if I can teach people to do that, then I'll be happy from this.
Yeah. Shout out to Muhammad Ali. He's 16. He's making $15,000 a month inside of the real world. So I did a podcast with him not too long ago. That guy's
unreal. Unreal.
Yeah.
How have you found the real world? So what have you done in the real world, Tyson?
I haven't done like a whole lot. I literally just joined it like recently, but I'm in Dylan's social media campus, so I'm learning how to harness my podcast and like kind of amplify everything inside of the social media. So yeah, no, it's been helpful. The modules in there, and Dylan's a great professor. So
yeah. Dylan's a G, bro.
Dylan is a G.
And this is the thing I need to also say. I ruined Dylan on Instagram. I ruined Dylan on X with my comments, right? But Dylan is actually one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. He's also a very hard worker, mate. And he's also, you know, he's got his head screwed on. He's not silly. He drives me mad, but he's not silly at all. And I've got a lot of love for Dylan. So if Dylan's watching, Dylan, we're all good, bro. We're all good. And I love Colston, you know Colston?
Colston. I don't know if I know Colston.
Colston is one of Dylan's friends that they work alongside each other. Colston's great, bro. Another really hard worker. So definitely people you should continue to network with, Tyson.
Yeah, 100%. What advice would you give for networking too? Because I feel like that's kind of one of the most important things in this industry and like in the podcasting, social media realm is like who you know.
Bro, I'll be honest. One of my good attributes is I have this talent that I seem to be able to get in front of anyone. Yeah. And I found that usually the best way to do that is by having high energy and you know, relating to things that they are involved with. Once you can relate to someone, they'll want to talk. You need to find a connection with someone, and that's how you network, mate. You find something in common, and you know, and you have a good energy, and you approach it the right way with a positive attitude. And you know, they might completely neg out. They might not want to know you straight away. And if that's the case, you go again and you say, "Yo, why don't you want to know me? Like, what's going on? Like, are we good or not?" Like, And then that's usually you'll get a convo when they think like you're getting annoyed, but you know, you just got to remain positive because at the end of the day, you're going after their value. They don't want yours. Yeah. So, you know, so it's important to understand that you have no choice but to be positive because the minute you're negative, they're not going to want to know you anyway.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be around negative people. I think that's the biggest thing I learned from Dylan is that like, if you're negative, like nobody wants to be around you, you know, always be positive. I think Dylan says, be a beacon of positivity. That's like one of his slogans. And that really stuck with me is be a beacon of goodness in the world.
Yeah, but he also says things really strange. Like he says dog, he says dorg. And I'm like, you walking your dorg? Like, yeah. So, yeah, poor Dylan. Unfortunately, once he sorts his speech out, I think he's going places.
Once he sorts his speech out?
No. I'm only joking.
He's going to be watching this too.
That's why I'm saying it, because I know he's here somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, brilliant.
Rory, are you friends with Tommy Robinson? I think I know. He did follow me on Twitter. I was gonna do a podcast with Tommy Robinson. He gave me his WhatsApp, and then he just like kind of ghosted me, which is
Look,
sad.
I've known Tommy Robinson for over 20 years. We're all from the same town. This is the thing about Luton. Luton breeds characters, bro. It's strange. Luton has this. I don't know what it is about Luton, but there are so many different characters that have come out of Luton. It's unreal. And yeah, I've known Tommy Robinson for a very long time. Do I agree with all of Tommy Robinson's views? No, I don't. Do I agree with all of my friends' views? No, I don't. But it doesn't mean I have to hate them for it. And I will tell them they're wrong for the views I disagree on, which is fine. But it's not going to affect my personal relationship with people because they've been programmed to believe something another way. And, you know, he's expressing what he believes is right. And I also agree with a lot of his views when it comes to illegal immigration, you know, but then there are other views of his I don't agree on, which I'm not going to touch on because it can get quite deep. But he knows I don't agree with them, but we don't have to hate each other, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are you still close with Nima Yamini? Like, I saw you guys did a podcast back, and I saw he's dragging the Tates. Like, what's up? Why is he doing that?
Look, Nima's look. I've met Nima a few times. Always very pleasant. I believe Andrew rattled him with the whole Jewish thing because he's a Jew.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, I think he got his back up, and I don't agree with some of the stuff that he put online. I don't agree with it at all. I think, you know, but I've said to Nima, I'm not going to debate with you online because I don't like how you behave. But I don't hate anyone. But don't look. If you're going to try and beef my friends, I'm going to distance myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could take that however you want, mate. So, you know, it really doesn't bother me. But no, I don't think the man's evil. I just think he's set in his ways, just like Andrew. You know, and he's not like something he's heard, and he's gone crazy.
Yeah.
So,
no, he's definitely gone crazy.
So, well, I mean, look, that's his business. You know, I'm not here to talk smack about anyone, mate, because, you know, it's just not who I am. So, I don't like internet beef because a lot of it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of it's a waste of time, mate. So I'd rather concentrate on the positives, and I'd rather concentrate on, you know, telling some stories and having a laugh and continuing to stick up for my friends in this crap that they're involved in. And that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Rory, I really appreciate you coming on. I've blasted through like a whole bunch of my questions. Let me just have like another look. Okay, I do have on here to you to share your best story with Tristan and then your best story with Andrew. Do you want to do that?
My best story with Tristan. Bro, there's so many, man. There's so many. I've got a funny story where I poked Tristan in the eye and blinded him. You want to hear that one?
You blinded him? Yeah, let's hear that.
Actually, I got myself in a lot of trouble, actually.
Really?
So, Tristan got me, actually, because what happened was we were in a city called Birmingham, and it was New Year's Eve. And the countdowns come on for New Year's Eve. We're on the dance floor. Me, Andrew, and Tristan, you know, we're surrounded by people. And the countdown's on, and it's going 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, blah, blah, blah. As it's gone down, I'm doing this with my hands. And I've poked Tristan so hard in the eye, bro. His eye was bleeding, right?
Oh, my gosh.
But I've poked him in the eye. And as a reaction, he's turned around and just ripped this shirt. And there's a story there because the shirt belonged to my dad.
Oh.
And I took it with the labels on and everything, because I needed a nice shirt for New Year's Eve. And I thought, he won't notice, you know. Bro, this shirt was worth about $2,500 to $3,000 or something. And he was looking for it weeks after, and I hid it under my mattress. And he said, you see my shirt? You see my shirt? I said, no. Next thing, Tristan's uploaded a photo on Facebook at the time of me wearing the shirt. Oh. And my dad's seen it, and all hell broke loose. Yeah, so wow. Tristan got me. Yeah, Tristan got me.
So he just ripped your shirt because he's like so angry that you poked him in the eye. He just
well, I mean, it was just a reaction to get me back, wasn't it? But
yeah,
you know, like it's not like he turned around and punched me. It was just to get me back, and that was probably the first thing that came into his head. Yeah.
Wow.
But all the buttons just went everywhere. Like the shirt was destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah. How angry was your dad? Like, did he get over that?
Or bro. No, I mean, we laugh about it now, but put it this way: I had to pay back for a shirt that I couldn't.
Oh, you had to pay back?
I couldn't afford that shirt, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, yeah. The goat said, I wish I could believe you, Rory. Well, listen, goat, if you're struggling to believe me about stories such as a shirt getting ripped, then you're going to struggle to believe that I tell you that sky is blue. So the best thing for you to do is just get gone, mate. Yeah, so where were we?
Yeah, and now
Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew.
Best story of Andrew. Best story with Andrew. Interesting one. Best story of Andrew was he had a Porsche Boxster S growing up. Andrew used to do TV advertisement deals. And yeah, he had a Porsche Boxster S, and we used to go out in that. And for some reason, I had a load of money, and we went on tour. And I ended up getting lost somewhere and being was found in a taxi eating McDonald's, and Andrew found it hilarious. So yeah, throwing shit at me, and and then I had to pay for the journey home because I'd completely messed up. But bro, me and Andrew, there's so many different stories that I'd have to actually sit down and think like which ones are worth telling, which ones aren't.
Yeah.
It's just like, for me, it's second nature to have a laugh with them whenever I see them. So every story is funny, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's good, man. I wouldn't change our friendship for the world. So,
yeah.
Andrew's more like a big brother figure as well. Like, whereas Andrew gives me the best advice, like, Andrew likes to give me advice and tell me when I'm being an idiot, whereas Tristan finds it hilarious. And that's different relationships I have with them. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, and that's awesome that God gave you those friends. Like, I feel like that is kind of from God. The fact that you met Andrew and Tristan, like everything I believe happens for a reason. I think that they're set into your life for a good purpose. So.
Bro, this question keeps coming up. Rory, have you or the Tates ever been to Africa? I'm sure that the Tates have been to Africa. I didn't go with them. I have been to Tunisia and Morocco in North Africa. Other than that, I haven't been to Africa, no. That's my answer for that question, because I've seen it pop up a few times. But what are you doing for the rest of the day?
I'm going to go to the gym after this, and then I'm going to go to the sauna afterwards.
Good man. I love a sauna and steam room, bro. Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, no, well done, mate. I'm proud of you, and I want you to keep pushing on this journey, and I want you to, embrace it, bro. Embrace it, because you've got you've got your feet on all the right doors. You're doing well, so it's good to see. I love to see it, mate. And awesome. if I can help you with anything, you know where I am, bro. So,
okay. Thank you so much, Rory. God bless you, man. This is a great interview.
No worries, guys. I hope you all have the best weekend, and I hope that you all prosper and become the best version of yourselves. Guys, over and out from me. I hope you have a good night.
Take care, Rory. Thank you.
G.
See ya. Guys, that was a great podcast. This is another one I'm gonna have to watch back and listen back. Guys, what did you guys think about that? I think that was incredible to hear Rory's stories. That rhymes. But no, that was amazing. Shout out to Rory for taking the time to do that too. I even told him before, I'm just so grateful that he's actually taking the time to do this, because this is like a huge opportunity, a huge podcast for me. So shout out to Rory, man. He seems like a really solid guy. And yeah, God bless you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like we said on the podcast, Tristan Tate told me once I reach 100K on Rumble, he will come on my podcast. I know it's a big, tall mountain to climb, but please help me out. Follow me on Rumble. Also follow me on YouTube, Twitter, all those platforms. God bless.